Hey everyone, welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games. In this episode, we're talking about Rogue Genesia and Wanderstop. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we are going to be starting off with a game that you have been playing quite a bit. And then, for once, I got to play some of it too. So we both have been playing this one, which doesn't happen too often lately. It's usually like you play one, I play one. This time we both played this one.
I think a lot of it's just because our types of preferred games are pretty vastly different in a lot of ways. There's some crossover, and I guess like Bullet Heavens / General Roguelikes would be some of those crossovers.
Yeah. It's usually like that and Deck Builders is where we typically cross over.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely.
Game start!
So we're going to start off with our first topic here, which is Rogue Genesia. This was released on March 7th, 2025, developed by Uwardi Huard and published by Uwardi Huard and Gamersky Games. Retails for $14.89, and for a quick description, Rogue Genesia is an action roguelite where players control a celestial space knight named Rogue to battle relentless hordes of monsters, crafting unique builds from a vast array of weapons, upgrades, and artifacts to defeat bosses and save various worlds.
I did not realize he was a celestial space knight.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot that gives that off, but that's interesting that's how it's described.
There's nothing in the game that like tells you that, as far as I know. Like I learned that by reading like other stuff about it, like outside the game.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Because I also like when you're choosing like how you want to play too, and it says ROG, I was like, I don't know what that means, because ROG is in the menu, like one of the play styles, and I was like, okay, I don't know. And now I'm like, oh, that's his name. Okay. Got it.
Right.
So, it's a bullet heaven. It's somewhat like Vampire Survivors. Oh, I say somewhat. It's very much like it, but with some very major changes to that formula. So I'll let you go ahead and talk about this because this is the one that you really wanted to bring to the show.
Yeah, and mainly just because I have sunk so many like hours into it as far as indie games go, because this is one that, like Vampire Survivors, you could sink countless hours into because there's steady progression to it, where it seems like every run you are unlocking something, whether that's a small item or just like another game mode or a challenge that you can set up, or you're moving on from like F rank to E rank. There's different things like that. So it's like every single run you're getting something. There is like a sense of satisfaction in that, whether you finish a run or not. Early on, you will probably finish most of your runs, or at least get fairly far into them, because the further you go into the rankings, the longer it gets. Like it adds another like section to it. So like E rank, you're just going through one map, one boss. F rank, 2 maps, 2 bosses, etc., etc. And so it goes on like that for a while. They get progressively more challenging, obviously, but you are also getting stronger as you go with the RNG mechanics that it has in it. And this is one of the more, I don't know that it's the most extreme set of like building broken builds that I've seen before, but I think in this it is very possible, to the extent that I want to bring this up before I forget. So I've unlocked, I don't know if I've unlocked all the characters. I'll say that first, but I've unlocked all the ones that it shows you can unlock, and one additional one that I did not know you could unlock. And this one is the one I want to touch on because it is a different version of ROG. I don't remember what his exact name was, but it's like Lag ROG or something, because the only way I was able to unlock it is because in one of the later stages, I had built up my the speed, my attack speed so high of a percentage that it was like almost lagging my game, and I'm running on a 4090 and you like easily 120 plus FPS, and this is like not like a taxing game, but because there were so many like particle effects on the screen, it just slowed my game down to the point where at one spot it said that it hit 3 FPS, and that's what unlocked this Lag ROG character for me. It was because the FPS was so low for a few seconds that this character was like locked behind your game lagging. So it's like they knew that it was that it would possibly hit that point if you got some like collection of powers that overlapped in a way to really tax your system. And like my fan, like my GPU fan, I could hear it start to like rev up, trying to keep my video card cool. with all these things going on. And again, it's not like a graphically intensive game, but with so many effects on the screen at once, it just didn't know how to parse through all of it. And so that unlocked me that character, which was interesting. And the advantages that he has, if you want to call it an advantage, is like his ability coming into it is it caps, or not caps, but it like lowers the amount of enemies on the screen, or not on the screen, but like the enemies that are spawning. So it's like it's putting less enemies out there to counteract the potential for lag, supposedly. And it's probably just like a cosmetic thing or whatever. But it's just funny that they added it in there knowing that that could possibly happen.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious. What I was wondering from your perspective is, do you like that they added something like that in there? Or do you think to you, is it an idea of like, you know, maybe a game shouldn't be able to get to that point in the first place?
I think that it's really going to depend on, one, your system that you're running it on, and two, how open you are to the idea of just like almost breaking a game with the amount of buffs that you're stacking. I don't mind it. I think it's funny. I do like when you are able to kind of using a rogue-like system with the RNG where you're choosing different skills, where you are able to build something that's like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted it to be, which is just like a super fast build. I want to be firing off as fast as I possibly can. And I think it's cool that you can really like push it to the limit here with that. And this was to the extent that like I won this run, of course, because I couldn't even see enemies on the screen anymore. Like it was killing everything off screen before it even appeared because everything was going so fast.
Yeah.
So this is where it's like, yeah, you're going to break builds. Like that's part of the game in this game specifically. But there are also challenge modes that like I can't get to rank A yet because I have to, I think, complete 20 challenges before I can get there. And what challenges do is they set limitations on whatever run you're doing. Like for the E rank that I'm on currently with the challenge modes, for instance, like I did 5 or 6 of them on the F rank because that's all there was. And then on the E rank, I'm trying to get through some of them here. You can stack as many in the specific rank as you want, which is like, I think there's 5 or 6 or something on there. And obviously, the more you stack up, the harder it's going to get, but the more you'll complete in a single run. And I am just stuck trying to do like 4 of them together. One of them is like you can only have a level 1 weapon. Or you can only pick up gray cards, which are like the trash kind of upgrades or things like that. So it's like it's limiting you in a way where it's like, yeah, you can, coming up to this point, you could break the builds all you want, but now you're having to set these limitations on yourself to progress to a certain point past that. And even though I've gotten far into this and I've almost gotten to this A rank, and I'll probably be able to beat that A rank pretty easily after that, since I can just, go back into building my broken builds. It's like I know there's like a ton more progression that I just have not seen, and maybe I'm even unaware of, which I really appreciate that aspect of it. Like that Lagrog, I had no idea he was even in that, because there's not like a little, with these other characters, you can see like little question mark boxes like, oh, you need to do this to unlock this character, but he doesn't even have one of those. So he just was like a noob Saibot kind of out of nowhere character.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like, is like when I can unlock secrets that aren't apparent. And there's no way I would have even intentionally unlocked that, because it's like, how would I have like forced my system to spike down to 3 FPS unless I had just like, I don't know, locked it at that or something. I don't know. I probably could have forced it, but I didn't even know it was possible. So that's a cool little surprise. And I'm sure this game probably has a lot more of those, because it seems like a game that would invite something like that type of experimental gameplay that this encourages can sometimes reap the rewards of you almost broke the game, so here's a little prize for it.
What has been like, as far as like some of the unlocks, the weapons, things like that, what have been your favorite ones to use?
Oh man. So I like I think it's the hunter character, because instead of auto shooting, you get to like manually trigger, and you get to aim your shot and manually trigger when it goes off. The downside to that is you can only have one weapon equipped at a time. You can switch between different weapons, but you can only fire off one weapon at a time. Whereas the other characters, their weapons just all stacked together and they're all shooting at the same time. but you don't have control over where they're going. So that's the downside to the other characters. This one, I found the hunter runs pretty fun because it was a lot more direct. It felt more like a roguelike than a bullet heaven because I had control over where my stuff was shooting. So it helped me get out of like tighter situations without just like praying that my bullets went the right direction, you know? Right. So, and the hunter has very specific weapons. Like he starts with a pistol, but you can also like find different sorts of guns, like a shotgun and various things like that. And that was a really fun play style. I also really like the summoner, which is like a later unlock, who just literally summons all of these at first like goblins around him and they will fight for you. Yeah. And then he can stack different like summons as well. I got some like flying eyeballs too that would be attacking. So these are all happening at the same time. They're auto attacking just like the other weapons, but it's cool just to have that little defensive grid around you. You're obviously squishier, so you don't want people to get to you anyway, but I found that like his playstyle just seems fairly easy, which I see why he's kind of a later unlock. So you don't really have to do a lot. These monsters will like travel around and just like hone in on certain enemies and really just like tear down even elites or bosses fairly quickly, it seems like. So that one was fun, just like watching all these various things that you have under your control just wreaking havoc and just seeing what other kind of cool summons there were. I like that all the different characters you're unlocking or character classes you're unlocking have pretty unique play styles in and of themselves. Like everyone has their advantages and disadvantages. Like the rogue class has a higher crit rate and like faster max attack speed, but he just does less damage initially. But I think that's the one that I broke it with, where it's like I just got my attack speed so high that you couldn't even see the bullets anymore, really, or the enemies on the screen. So yeah, there's different play styles, which is what I like about that versus Vampire Survivors, which this was obviously inspired by in multiple ways, is that, yeah, there's a variety of characters in Vampire Survivors you can play as, but it just feels a lot more tight as far as the differences go, where it's like, yeah, I could play as, you know, Simon Belmont or Trevor Belmont or just one of the Among Us characters, but they're all going to feel kind of the same. Yeah. Where it's like get big gun, upgrade gun, and or whatever specific weapon you want, and then you're going down the same kind of skill trees. Whereas this one has just a lot more interesting customizations, where it's like, do I want to sacrifice all my defense but go like really hard into my attack power and like basically take away my entire like defense altogether? Where it's like if I get hit even once, I'm going to take like half my health down, but add 300% to my attack power. That's an option in here in a card you can pick up. And so it's trying to just direct your stuff. I like those games that have like kind of those extreme kind of trade-offs that you don't have to take, but you can if you want to just have like an interesting run. So those really customizable runs are what helps set this apart from Vampire Survivors, but also what makes this more of a roguelike in that sense. So I appreciate the blend of the two.
Yeah, one of my runs, like I was building up some stuff, so like my max health had dropped down pretty significantly, so it was really low, but my health regen was super high. So it's like if I got hit, like I would, be like half
your
dead.
Health almost instantly came back.
Yeah, but then it would be back within like a second.
The one thing I will say, because it sounds like I'm just all praise right now, and I do like a lot about it, but having played it for so long, like I've seen some shortcomings, at least that I find in it, which are, I think a lot of it's kind of like difficult to parse through what is actually happening with the stats that you're putting on there, because a lot of the modifiers, the modifier cards will add like, this is going to do, you can either choose this card that makes it do like 0.05% more damage, or you can choose this other card that makes it do 1.5% extra armor piercing. And it's like, how are these numbers all adding up? Give me a raw number of like, after this is all said and done, what is the damage I'm going to be doing?
Yeah.
Which one do I want to take? And that's so hard to tell, especially when you're limited to like just the gray cards, because it's like you've got your armor piercing and you've got your attack damage and then you've got attack damage percentage. It's like, I don't know what the best kind of way to go about that is. Should I be going pure attack, pure armor piercing, like pure damage, or should I be getting some of everything? I just think like there's almost too many options to parse through there without enough like cohesiveness to show you how everything is actually affecting you. I'm sure if you like go deep into the menus or something, you could probably like see some kind of representation of it, but that should be something that's very apparent, even just like clicking on a card or just highlighting over a card that like, hey, this is going to add, after all said and done, you're going to do 5 more damage per second. Or if you choose this card, you'll do 10 more damage per second. Then it's like, okay, well, I obviously want to go with the 10 more damage per second, regardless of what leads to that. So that for me is one of my gripes, just because early on, you're not going to care because like big numbers, more cards, damage goes up. It's fine. But when you really get in the weeds and start going through those challenges, that matters so much because like 1 or 2 different like attack versus defense cards will be the difference between life and death, because you literally are not, you cannot make like a broken build in the same way you could otherwise, or at least a more targeted build like you could with the other ones, where I can make my attack speed go so high that nothing can even survive the onslaught. So that's where it gets to the point of like, you would almost have to min-max in a way that just would take the fun out of it for me. But I just need more representation of what these things are actually, how they're affecting my output.
One thing that makes it a little more complicated too is that there's a lot of those cards that you can get that don't only affect just like one stat. There's like quite a few that, they'll have like 4 or 5 on there at one time. And some of those are like reducing like a certain stat while boosting other stats. And it's, so it's like, not only are you having to like do that mental math of like boosting one thing, like, okay, now then what does that work out to? But then there's like 4 other ones that you're having to account for at the exact same time to make an informed decision. And that's very tough.
Yeah. So I don't even think it's like me not wanting to math it. I just think it's like, I'm not sure like what the math is even doing here, like how I would even like work out some of these problems of whether I should choose, when I should choose armor piercing and prioritize that. I don't even know how much armor enemies have. Like, is there like a cap to where like after I get a certain amount of armor piercing, it doesn't matter anymore? I don't know. Because it doesn't tell you these things. And while I'll go back to what I was saying about like the secrets of like Lagrog, where it's like, I like that you're not telling me about that kind of stuff, but please do tell me things that are important to me surviving and winning the game. Like I would like to know that, like how this thing is affecting the damage I am either giving or taking, or just like how it's affecting certain enemies. Like that's just very muddy to me. And I'm sure there's going to be like a bunch of people who are reading deep into it and probably know these things. But surface level, it's just not very inviting when it comes to all of that working together.
One thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that one major difference that this has, because we keep comparing it to Vampire Survivors. But with like Vampire Survivors, it's just level select and then you go into the next level. Whereas this one, like, you're doing a run where it is that path selection kind of base, like a Slay the Spire kind of style. So you're getting to select whether you're going against enemies or a shop or elite enemies, things like that, a treasure chest. So,
yes.
And there's a lot of question marks on that path as well, where you don't know exactly what you're getting into. Sometimes it could be, kind of an elite battle. It could be a treasure. It could be a sort of like a scenario where it presents you with something and your answer ends up dictating what you end up in. So, I think that's really cool. And then there's always like the big boss that you go up against at the very end, which almost like requires, at least the ones I've done so far, like you go in and then you have to like activate these altars to summon the big boss and then defeat the boss. So the only boss I've fought though so far has been the Goblin Shaman.
Yeah, and they all are similar in that they all have stages like that, where it's like you'll hurt it a certain amount and then it will enter this like defensive stage where then You have to kill all the like smaller enemies around it to like reduce this blue bar to make the boss damageable again. They're all various like flavors of that. Just they have more of those stages as it progresses, basically. Yeah. I'll take it to like, I think it's the third or fourth boss, maybe the Necromancer, which is obviously has a ton of skeletons around it. And I think it has 3 stages, and then it resurrects itself after it dies to where it's just got a full health pool again, but not stages against that health pool. So you have to kill it. Yeah. Oh man, it's just so annoying working through the Necromancer because the skeletons don't seem to die. Even if they are dying fast, it doesn't seem to like work that blue bar down very quickly. So that just is a way longer battle than it should be, I think. Even if you are like overpowered, because you're still just there's not enough enemies on the screen to be like reducing that blue bar fast enough, is what I found anytime I faced that enemy. Not that he's hard, it's just one of those, it's annoyingly long because of all the different stages to it. And so most of the bosses, if not all of them, I'm just trying to remember them all as I think about it, are staged like that, where it is, fight through the mobs around them and then fight them again and back and forth. So, and the bosses are just like really larger versions of these small enemies, just like blown up on the screen. Because we didn't really say like this is like a 2D kind of blown up pixel art style.
Yeah. It looks good. Like, I really like the art style of this too.
Yeah. It's like Vampire Survivors in that way, but just a little more detailed. And,
yeah. It's almost like if someone tried to remake Vampire Survivors, but with like that Octopath Traveler kind of look in a way. Like it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not even like that. Like
not as polished as something like that.
Yeah,
but
not as
like
polished, but
using that sort of system. Yeah.
Sure. But the backgrounds are definitely more polished in Vampire Survivors, because those are just like colors basically. Yes. And these have like detailed kind of backgrounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to this game. I don't want to go into all the nuances of it because that would take forever. But yes. I think if you like bullet heaven games and you like roguelike games, then this is one you'll want to look out for. And it's sub $15. So I think it's worth the price, especially with I've played, I think, about 18 hours of it so far. And there's still, even though I'm almost to A rank, and then we'll probably be A rank after that. So I would say probably maybe 19 to 20 hours in, you'll get to A rank and beat that after you go through all the challenges. I'm sure there's probably going to be more after that. And I know there's also like a hard mode to all these levels you can do as well, which I don't even know what that means yet. So yeah, there is potentially endless replayability to it if you like the way that it plays initially. I don't think there's a demo of it, but again, it's $15. So give it a shot. And it's one you could probably just like jump back in and out of. That's what I found myself doing most of this week, because I haven't had a lot of time. So this is a good game for me to like jump in, try a run. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I don't have to commit to anything else. And you can save runs mid-run, which I love. Every roguelike should have that. And I agree. This one does. So, yeah, because like sometimes because these can get kind of long as you go through them. So if I'm like 45 minutes into a run and I just need to go do something, I don't want to just turn it off. So I can save it, quit, and come right back. So that's great.
They've also got like that quick start option too, that sort of...
okay. Yes. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because that I would absolutely recommend doing that. Otherwise, it is just so tedious and so long, especially after you get into later rankings. I forgot that I even switched that on, and it still feels like it takes a while sometimes. So please switch on the quick mode if you value your time at all.
If you value your life, turn on quick mode. Yeah. Yes. It's sort of like, so it optimizes things. It condenses down the amount of like stages and everything, but it also like optimizes the amount of like experience that you're gaining, so it like balances out. So
yeah, it feels like it's the way the game should be played. So I don't even like that it's called quick mode. It should just be called mode.
Optimized mode,
like normal mode.
mode.
Yeah,
ROG mode.
And the alternative should be like long mode or whatever, because this is like the way that it feels right. So yeah,
Sure.
Please switch on quick play. You'll thank yourself.
Yeah,
later.
I've done a couple runs both ways, and I definitely prefer the quick mode. So especially if you are playing it like just when you have downtime, which is how I've been doing it too.
There's just no reason not to, because of the experience boost you're getting while playing it. So it's like it's shorter, you're leveling up just as fast, and you're going to get just as much stuff, I would assume. So it's like, why not just like making a more efficient run?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like you said, it's a pretty fun game if you're into the mechanics and stuff of it. Like I felt like it was, as someone that has played the hell out of Vampire Survivors, I really like this because it does feel like an upgraded kind of version of that. Like it just, there's more to do. There's more variety to it, I think. And there's a few things that feel like more, I don't know, like ease of life about it than Vampire Survivors has, especially some of the like, I mean, just the fact too that there are actual HP bars for some of these bosses is nice to have. So
that is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I don't like the UI though. I think the UI is very not super user friendly. There's so much to it. Like if you hit that menu, oh my God, there's just so much to get through in there. Oy.
Yeah. There are definitely improvements that this game could make, and or clarity that it could like put forward.
Yeah.
But I think once you play it for a while, you'll get used to it enough to the point. I think like your first few hours of it are going to be great. You're going to be like, this game is awesome. I have no qualms. But then the more you get into it, the more you're going to start to notice things that you wish were a little bit different. So I think if they made like a Rogue Genesia 2, or if they just like updated this to like a 1.5 or something, I think that they could really saw off a lot of those like edges or sand off the edges and make it just like kind of the perfect, like the ideal version of what it's trying to be. I don't think it's quite there yet, but I think there is still plenty to enjoy with what is here.
Yeah, I agree. And there's over 300 achievements for this freaking game. So
how many do I have? Yeah, I know I have a lot.
I have only 33 so far, so I'm 10% of the way through.
Okay, so, I have 167
oh my God,
out
dude.
of the 308. I'm only 54% through. That's what I'm saying. Like I've almost like beaten like the main part of this game, and I'm only 50% through the achievements. I
felt like though, like my first run, like I felt like every 10 seconds an achievement was popping up on my screen though, and I was like, come on.
5 feet, here's an achievement. Yeah,
like,
they're just throwing them at you.
I felt pretty good about my, like it was a nice confidence boost, but after a while I was like, all right, just wait a little bit, please. So yeah, but it's fun. It's fun just racking up achievements. It'll make my, end of year like Steam accomplishments look great. So
for sure. There's also a survivor mode if you don't want to do just the basic like
I haven't tried that yet.
I did it for a little bit just to get like some of the unlock things that were like survive 15 minutes in an E rank or something.
Oh, sure.
So that's just essentially like you keep going till you die, basically.
Yeah.
But it's not separated by levels in the same way. So you're just kind of like progressing in the same. I think you like will teleport to a new area, but if I remember right, but you're not like selecting where you're going. I don't think you just kind of teleport to new area after a certain amount of time.
New game!
Well, let's talk about our next game for this week. This is Wanderstop, created by the same developers from the Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide. This was released March 11th, 2025. Again, developed by Ivy Road, published by Annapurna Interactive. Currently, actually it's 10% off right now with the spring sale, but usually retails for $24.99. For a quick description, Wanderstop is a cozy game that invites players to step away from high-pressure environments and immerse themselves in a narrative-driven experience focused on rest and healing. Players take on the role of Alta, a former warrior, who, after experiencing burnout from battles, transitions to managing a tea shop alongside its owner, Boro. So you and I talked about this like a little bit outside of the podcast, and like got it out of the way real quick that we know this is not a Joseph game.
No. I knew I didn't have to play it. I didn't have to like look into it like any more than I did. Like I just know it's not something that I'm going to have fun with because it is a game about not playing a game.
It's
basically.
a game about not fighting.
You're not doing. You're making. Okay, like you're making tea. As far as I know, your progress doesn't matter. Like there's not stakes behind anything, so it's just like a cozy game in the sense that it's like an anti-burnout game, I guess. But
yeah, I'll explain.
I think just the idea of that does not sound like a game that I would like to play, but
Sure.
at the same time, like I get that that's some people's thing.
Yeah. So the story, like I was talking about, revolves around Alta. She is this warrior who was like the best warrior in this world till she lost. And then she lost again. And she doesn't understand why she keeps losing and just keeps kind of like beating herself up about it. She sets out to find this legendary warrior, and she is just kind of like running full steam through these woods, just running herself ragged to try to go find this warrior to try to train under her so she can be the best again. She just runs herself completely out of steam, and she can't even lift her sword anymore, and she just kind of collapses. She is rescued by this big, adorable man named Boro, who talks in the third person, who finds her, brings her back to his tea shop, which is like somewhere in the middle of the woods, and is just like calmly trying to like talk her through stuff, get her to relax. And for the first 30 minutes with the like sort of tutorial part of the game, you're really learning Alta's personality, you know, how driven she is. She's super stubborn. She can't recognize that she's completely just like burned out. That's why she can't even lift her sword anymore. And I think that like, obviously that's a little bit metaphorical in a way. Well, Boro's just trying to help her by having her assist at the tea shop where she can slow down and heal. So the mechanics of this are some of the stuff that you would probably expect if you're like doing a, you know, cozy tea shop kind of game. You can grow plants around the shop and in the yard, harvest them for tea ingredients, but you get like downtime for that stuff. So you can kind of do it at your leisure. Like even if someone comes in asking for a certain kind of tea, and you don't have the ingredient yet, they'll just like chill till you get it. Like there's no countdown to them getting like fed up and leaving. Like you're not on a timer. There's no score that's going to negatively affect you if you don't do it by a certain amount of time. They really emphasize the idea that there's no rush. There's no optimization for growing these the plants or anything, getting the tea made in a like timely fashion or anything. It's just really like up to you. And then like I was saying, there's customer interaction. Like these people will come into the tea shop. That starts in a pretty funny way where the first customer shows up and doesn't actually want any tea. They're just kind of there, like hanging out. They're like an adventurous talking by to rest. And Alta kind of like loses her mind because in her head, she's like, you know, tea shop means you come by and you drink tea. Like that's got to be the rules, right? But Boro's just kind of like, nah, you could just chat, let them do whatever. You do whatever for yourself. Very much bringing up the idea of that I should be doing this mentality, the idea that you need to constantly be doing something and following rules. And Boro's just like, nah, you don't have to. Like, there's no point in, you know, forcing yourself to constantly be doing. It's very, very much a game that is kind of teaching you this philosophy of like, you don't always have to be constantly doing things and trying to get you out of like that mindset of that, like, that leads to burnout, basically. There are some really fun characters and good interactions. My favorite is Gerald, the knight, who is not actually a real knight. He's just this guy who shows up in some armor, but he's also wearing a necktie, and he's a real big goofball, and he keeps showing pictures of his son, Timothy, which is really funny. His story gets a little like, something does happen with him, though, that I don't want to spoil, but like the story gets a little complicated there. Then there's the tea brewing process, which is interesting. So you can grow specific fruits to combine with the tea leaves. You can experiment, create hybrid fruits, see what kind of effects those have. And the machine to brew the tea is crazy because it's like this huge thing in the middle of the tea shop that has all these different steps to it, very like Dr. Seuss or Willy Wonka kind of style, which I really, really like that aspect, that there's like so many different like things to do to brew the tea. So it's not just throw it in the water and then it's good. It's fun and it's a little bit of a process. There's a lot of interactions with Burrow, with the customers. They all have their own very detailed stories that you learn and you kind of become a part of through your actions and your choices. Again, like I was saying, Gerald, the night hit kind of hard for me for reasons that I don't want to spoil. And then drinking tea. So Alta herself, we don't know all that much about her until you let her drink some of the tea herself, and then she'll reflect and you hear some backstory that really shapes her personality more. And you find out that trying different blends will reveal different things about herself. So like she'll reflect on different parts of her backstory depending on the type of tea that she drinks. So that really helps sort of drive that experimentation to try different hybrids, different fruits, things like that when you're making the tea. So there is an overall story. Like I said, you're learning about Alta. There's the question of how this time here will affect her since she's so hell-bent on, becoming the best warrior again. There's also this idea, though, that time works differently here. Like there's a character that leaves and then looks like they immediately come back. But to them, it's been like 3 days since they've been there. So there's like definitely some other things going on in this world that where I'm at, I'm like a little over 3 hours in that I don't quite understand just yet. The art is gorgeous. Absolutely love the character designs, the world design. Lots of pastel colors everywhere in the grass, the leaves of the trees, the hues of the sunshine and the shades. And inside the tea shop is like super warm, super inviting. I want to curl up like a little cat, take a nap in there. And there's just little penguins wandering around outside that you can pick up, which are great. I love those little guys. And the music was composed by C418, which is the same composer from Minecraft. So really, really beautiful music. That's going to be like my new music to read or sleep to, like easily.
Everything you're saying is like...
I know,
yep,
you're probably like
yep,
grinding your teeth right now.
I appreciate what it's doing. The art, beautiful. I'm sure the music is great too. I don't like to do work already, so burnout isn't a thing for me unless I have to start doing more things. So it's not like I'm trying to like lessen my load. My load is already like low enough to where like I'm preventing my own burnout. But the idea of like adding this onto that would make me feel like I'm doing more work. So it's like counterproductive to what the idea of this game is. It's like I would be doing this to work towards nothing, which would lead to me burning out on this game about not burning out. But I could see it being useful for someone who does enjoy work like yourself and could potentially lead to burnout because you do so much. So it's like, here, yeah, why not add this to your plate and then learn about not burning out from a game about not burning out?
Yeah, so like this is the thing, and as I played this, like I related to this a lot. Specifically, I related to the character Alta a lot because, like you're saying, like I work a lot. I'm kind of a workaholic, and like I definitely see myself in the story quite a bit in different ways and different forms, and also like as someone that goes to therapy a lot too. And talks about some of this stuff there, this idea of how like Boro talks to Alta a lot and is just like saying those things like, as she talks about needing to be the best. And he's like, do you really need to be the best? What does that give you, as far as like satisfaction and things like that? Like, what does it mean to be the best fighter and stuff? It's a lot of that kind of stuff that's really challenging those perspectives. And it's a lot of things that I think are very useful. It's an interesting theme that it's being brought about in a video game. And I know that this was brought about specifically because the developer himself was experiencing a ton of burnout, which I think is what inspired this game. To me, it feels like a game that is also creating a sense of like a little bit of a therapy session within a game, which I really, really appreciate. I really like it. It's just like you're able to sort of like peacefully exist for a while in this game and learn a few things through the interactions of these characters that can be applied to your like real life. There is, though, like some questions that I come away with it as far as like the story of this thing, though, because the genre here is a little strange in that it's sort of somewhat whimsical with like a fantasy sort of, I don't know, genre, subgenre. Like Alta's a fighter. That's her career. You've got a guy showing up in knight armor wanting to be a knight. You've got someone saying they're a demon hunter with no demons to hunt. But throughout, there's also these acknowledgments of like modern things, like there's cameras, photographs, a stop sign. The knight is wearing a necktie. Alta mentioned some things in her childhood spent in like her dad's shop, which sounded kind of like a modern sort of store. So there's a part of me also that wonders about the idea that this is more like an in-world fantasy as well, in sort of a meta way. Like these characters themselves, as a fighter or a knight or whatever, are those things in a metaphorical way, and we're seeing their fantasy within this world. Which sounds crazy, me trying to explain, but like playing that, I sort of get that vibe a little bit. I don't know if that's the intention whatsoever, or if it was, you know, just sort of vague, so you take whatever you want from it. But this was created by the same person that made the Stanley Parable, so I wouldn't be surprised, because they're all about being subversive. But, I mean, overall, so would I recommend this game to everyone? No. If you are interested in one, slowing down and doing something relaxing and introspective, I think you'll enjoy this. Or if you are interested in mental health, I think you would also really enjoy this, because it has a lot to say about not just burnout, but also trauma. And with that, like it definitely has my attention. So I think it's a really, really good game for the type of game it is. I do think that this will be something that comes up when we're getting close to like award season for sure.
I could see that. I mean, I obviously am interested in mental health. I focus on that. I have my own therapist and whatnot, but it really depends on the type of games that speak to you. So I guess the type of games that to you are relaxing, and to me, fast-paced like action games are relaxing. Those are my own personal like tea.
Yeah.
Whereas I could see that not being for most people. In fact, I was talking to someone the other day about how I'm the only one of my immediate friends that even touches any FromSoft games. And that's unfortunate because I would love to talk to someone about them, but nobody likes to play them because they're too hard. And I get that, but it's like that to me is very cathartic, and I enjoy just every aspect of it. Those are so relaxing to me in a weird way.
Sure.
So it just depends on like how, what kind of gamer you are, I think. And this would I just personally know this would be too slow paced for me. And that's why I can't really play like visual novels or story games for that same reason, like story only games. But I appreciate the message that it is sending, and I think there is value to that. And so you're correct. To the right audience, this would be just absolute gold. And I'm sure that it's going to really show in award season.
I think that's what's like really interesting specifically about indie games. And also like why we do the show too, is because there's such like a huge variety, and there's so many interesting games, and like there's so many coming out all the time, that because everybody's approach to games is so different, like you were talking about the types of games that bring you joy and relaxation are vastly different than like, other people's. Like I have a couple different ones that do that for me. Like I really like mind-bending kind of things, like, really puzzle-solving kind of stuff that, like, makes you have to really think critically about stuff. But, like, it's not necessarily, fast twitch kind of, like, action or anything. And then I also really like these really relaxing sort of games that, like, force me to not use my brain, force me to chill, force me to reflect, be introspective. So stuff like this and like walking sims, things like that, like it's meeting like a completely different need. And like, that's what's great about these kinds of games is that like, no matter what your approach is, no matter what appeals to you, there's like so many good ones out there. So it's a great time to be a gamer specifically for that reason, because so many good games are coming out like every single week at this point.
Yeah. like the therapy game for me that would be the exact opposite of this one that is also an indie game would be Hell Knight. And that game was so fun for me and so relaxing in a weird way. I don't know. That's just where it's like I'm sure people like will have their opinions one way or another, but it's just to say that I don't think either is wrong. It's just
not at all.
What our preferences are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Combo!
So then let's get into what else we've been playing this week. I played quite a few games. Some of these were games I also played in the previous week. So I'll try to get through these a little quicker. But we tabled them from last week because we talked about so many demos and everything. But one that I had been playing is Knights in Tight Spaces, which came out on March 4th. This is a tactical deck building game developed by Ground Shatter and published by Raw Fury. And it is a Texas game set in a medieval world that combines card-based combat with roguelike elements. It's so much fun. I love the mechanics of it. Especially, it just feels really good to like boop an enemy like right out of the map and not have to fight them, which is very much encouraged. This game is very much about strategy, and it can get really challenging, especially the enemies where like they only take damage on the second hit. When you're so limited on like what you can do with your cards, depending on your hand. So positioning to get other enemies to hit them, or positioning your characters to do extra attacks by one of them hitting and then your other enemies to hit them afterwards because of their positioning. It makes you feel like a genius when you set it up just right. So I really love this one. I've played 4 of the classes now, maybe 5. Plus that hand-drawn sketchbook art style is amazing. But yeah, I really loved this one.
Yeah, that's one I had just played the demo of. Actually, just played the what was it, Next Fest demo of back when that was around. But it's one that I want to put more time into because I did enjoy it.
And then as you like go to, like you're unlocking more cards as you like progress in your runs and stuff, like that continues with you. So like when you first start, you don't have, I mean, like any good deck builder, like you don't have all of the cards that you could have. So that's fun. And different classes come with different cards too, which is really interesting too. Like when you recruit somebody, you'll get some new cards as well. So yeah,
nice.
It's fun. But I've
Cool.
played
I gotta put time into that.
I played the fighter, the cleric, I can't remember if they called it a rogue or a thief, that class. And then I played the sorcerer. Yeah, they're all really fun. I really much enjoy it. Oh, the brawler was another one. I played that one as well. So yeah, it's great. I would definitely recommend it. If you like tactics, like this is a great one to pick up.
Sweet.
I also played a Ranger, a role puzzling adventure. That's a mouthful. This is a 2024 puzzle game developed and published by Furniture and Mattress, which sounds like a store you would go to at a strip mall. Players control Gemma, a misfit seeking to escape her small town, navigating a grid-based world where they slide rows and columns to move her and interact with the objects. So if you picture those like tile puzzles that you might see where you have to like swap things around to solve a puzzle, they're usually like, I don't know, like the basic ones might be like all white tiles and then there's the one black tile and then you have to move things around that way. Anyway, this game is kind of like that. So you are like moving things around in this like grid system, like literally moving the environment around. But that's how you like move your character. That's how you defeat enemies, by like moving weapon tiles into the enemies, puzzle your way around like obstacles and everything. And there's a very like quest driven story behind the whole thing. It's really interesting, and it's a fairly chill game, but it's, again, like it's one that you really have to like think a lot to really figure out some of the puzzles. And if you have a Netflix subscription, you can play it for free on mobile, which is what I've been doing, which I guess means it's not free because you're paying Netflix for it. So, I mean, it's just a perk, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The last one I played was Centum. This released on March 11th. I don't know how to I don't know how to talk about it. This is the weirdest thing I've ever played. It's the point and click / visual novel. At some point, you're interacting with a computer desktop full of cryptic .txt notes warning you to keep this specific program running. Sometimes you're interacting with a strange sentient AI who has missing data packets and causes errors and wants you to play little mini games that he'll rig to make you win. And other times you're a prisoner inside a tower cell full of, I don't know, evil singing Rubik's Cubes, talking chalk drawings on a wall, shadow creatures, a talking man rat. And I know this sounds like I'm making stuff up, but this is the game, and I wasn't high or that high when I played it. So this, I don't know how to describe it, man. Like, there's something here. It's interesting. I don't know how to really elaborate more than that. I have no idea what this is or if I want to continue with it. That's Centum. Someone explained to me what I played. I don't understand it.
Dark fantasy puzzle game.
Yeah,
apparently.
We'll go with that. Dark
right.
with some sort of meta stuff going on in it.
Yeah, looks interesting. I see a cat phone. That's fun.
Yeah, nothing in it makes any sense to me. Yeah, you got to play tic-tac-toe with like a ghost creature. You stick your hand in a rat trap, cut your finger off. That finger grows into a tree. Yeah, that happens.
Okay.
What about you?
I haven't really played a lot more indie games other than Rogue Genesia. I will say I'll drop what I have been playing, but I won't say anything about them because they're not indie games, which is Monster Hunter Wilds and Metaphor ReFantazio.
There you go.
If you know about those games, you know about those games, and you probably do. So that's where a lot of my time has gone. So unfortunately, I have not played any more indie games other than Rogue Genesia. But I played a lot of that this week, so I will be excused. I've probably spent more time in Rogue Genesia than you have in every single game you played combined, if I'm really adding up the time.
No, I think you're probably right, honestly. So, yeah. And all of your 100 and whatever 50, 60 achievements you got shows it.
Yeah, however long that took.
Insane.
And then there's 28 hours in Monster Hunter, and then just about an hour and a half in Metaphors. So there's
Nice.
a lot. There's a lot of games.
By end of year, you'll be like 90 hours in Metaphor, 200 hours in Monster, and we'll be like,
yeah,
oh,
and I'll
geez.
be like 50% through Metaphor.
Yeah.
With that 90 hours.
Exactly.
Final round!
Let's talk about any upcoming indie titles on our radar, wish list, or play calendar. Let's start with you. What do you got? There's one specifically I'm very interested in.
Oh, yeah. So I guess I'll start with the other one then, Heroes of Hammerwatch 2. I finally bought it because it was on sale during the spring sale. That came out on January 14th. This is obviously the follow-up to Heroes of Hammerwatch 1, which is a roguelite action RPG, kind of a top-down view where you were like small figures in this like larger landscape. And I just really enjoyed the first one. I've heard good things about the second one. Not Hammerwatch 2, Heroes of Hammerwatch 2.
Yeah,
you gotta
definitely different
differentiate
games.
because... Yeah, and apparently like Hammerwatch 2, last I had heard, was not so well received.
No,
but
it
Heroes
was
of Hammerwatch 2, you're good. So yeah, if you want to play the better one, then Heroes of Hammerwatch 2
Yeah.
is the one you're looking for.
That's the good series.
And yeah, that's the good Hammerwatch series. And then the other game is Metalbringer, which I had also picked up because that came out on the 12th of March. And this is a customizable mech action roguelike where you're kind of like 3D models and a really sort of playful art style for what's going on, which is you in a giant mech destroying other, I assume, machines, maybe people. I don't know for sure. I haven't played it yet. But what I like about it, the idea anyway, is as you're going through and destroying other mechs, you are kind of able to steal their parts. And maybe it's like a randomized drop thing. I'm not sure. But you can take parts from them and like put them onto your mech to build it up or customize it in a way that changes the way that you are fighting and obviously your stats and everything. So that just seems like a really cool idea. And like I said, I picked it up, haven't played it yet, but that's one I'm excited to get into.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Like I saw just a quick trailer for this and saw just like how it looks, and Like immediately the art pulled me in. I'm very excited to see how it goes once you start playing it, because this looks so cool.
Yeah, the art, at least the way that they put that like pixel filter over it, kind of reminds me, and this is very loosely reminds me of like Mega Man Legends, if anybody remembers those games. Because I mean, those are obviously much different types of games, but I just mean art style wise, it's colorful, or like it's vibrant, it's colorful, it's that 3D, but whereas Mega Man Legends was actual like pixel sort of art, I guess it was actually 3D models also, but this just has this interesting pixel art filter over it. I don't know. If you know what I'm talking about, you may agree or disagree, but I just think that's the comparison I make visually initially.
Sure. Yeah, it looks sick. I'm very excited to see how this game shakes out. Like, definitely go check it out at the store. Right now it's 10% off through the rest of the spring sale. So looks awesome.
Yeah, I think if you're like a fan of like mech combat, but you don't want to go all the way into something like Armored Core 6 territory or Mech Warrior or something like that, then I think this is going to be
Gundam
like
Break.
A more, or Gundam Break. This is going to be a faster paced, like more whimsical version of those that looks still to have a good like challenge level to it as a roguelike. And plus just customizations look like super over the top. Like, do I want like a bulldozer face or a drill hand? I don't know. We're going to see what I am able to pick up.
I would love a bulldozer face. That sounds great.
Well, then I've got just the game for you.
Perfect. I've got 3 that I'm going to bring up just really fast. The first one is called Bloody Night Cult. This comes out on the 20th, so it'll be out by the time this episode airs. This is a first-person horror game with low poly graphics and a very VHS sort of filter over everything, where you're looking for your missing brother in a town taken over by a cult. It looks in that way that we talked about Crow Country. It's like very similar sort of graphics to that. And it looks super bloody, super gory. I don't know exactly how the gameplay will completely shake out, but I'm really interested in it. I just like the look of it a lot. So excited for that. Mike Goes on a Hike is the next one I want to mention. It comes out on the 24th. This is a hiking survival sim about a guy named Mike who goes on a long hike through the wilderness, fulfilling a request.
You added too many letters to it. It's not even Mike goes on a hike. It's just Mike goes on hike.
Well, Mike goes on hike. My brain was filling it in. Mike goes on hike. There we go. He's fulfilling a request for his grandfather. It looks gorgeous, even though it's like a walking sim. You do have to deal with like weather, fatigue, dangerous wildlife like wolves and bears. Simple premise, but I'm really interested in it. Like I like how it looks and everything, and it might be fun. I don't know. And then the last one is The Deadly Path, which comes out on the 25th. I don't know a ton about it, but it just seems really neat. It's a mix of like a roguelike deck builder combined with a city builder / like RTS. Super cool, grotesque kind of art, like Eldritch God and occult sort of look. The setup, as far as like how the gameplay is set up, like the screen that you're looking at, sort of reminds me of Cult Simulator in a way. But I haven't played that for like, oh my God, like 8 years or so. So I don't know. I'm really interested in it. I want to learn more, see how this game shakes out as well. But it looks really cool. I've heard a lot of people talking about this one as well on their upcoming games list. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one. So it's just like a tile-based city builder looking thing where you're, I don't know, trying to appease whatever god you choose.
Appease the gods. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are okay, it would be real okay with us if you did us a favor and shared this episode with someone who loves indie games. Look, I tied it in, man. I got it.
Yeah, it worked enough.
Yeah, enough. As always, you can catch me playing some of the games we discuss on the show, along with other Let's Play content over at our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/nerdsloth, and catch hundreds of hours of bonus content for $1 a month by subscribing to the Nerdsloth Treehouse at patreon.com/nerdsloth, where we also have an exclusive podcast called The Nerdsloth Podcast for those at the $5 tier, along with a few other exclusive just for those members. At nerdsloth.com, you can find a link to our Discord server and to our merch store, where we now have some designs, finally, for shirts, hats, hoodies, bags, you name it. We've got a controller design, and we have a arcade cabinet design that's up there. So go check those out. You can also join our subreddit for Indie Game Arcade, help us post more reviews of indie games so more folks can find games that suit their gameplay style. I posted a ton of new reviews over the last couple of weeks, so go and check those out.
Game over.
But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything we do at Sloth Creative, including bonus gameplay videos of the games we talk about on the show. The theme music for the show is Retro Game Tapes by Audio Lime. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or if you're an indie game developer and would like us to consider reviewing your game, send us an email to podcasts@nerdsloth.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade.